As a child, we all long for a hero. As a society as a whole, we search for that leader that can be our hero. But as we mature and as we grow, it dawned on us that the hero is inside every one of us. And in the world's social media, we all start at zero. And slowly we search deep within ourselves to find who we are. And we have that moment of truth where we embrace that the hero that we've been searching for has been there all along. It is living deep inside of every one of us. And we start embracing that journey and we become that hero that we search for.
Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to episode 33 of Zero to Hero. We've got a special episode coming to you for multiple reasons. For the people that tune in weekly or regulars with us, this is our last episode of 2022. So don't come on Thursday, don't come next week, okay? But the second reason is we actually have not one, but two awesome guests today. So we are joined by co-founders of Sunflower Dental Studios, Aaron Hoffman and JT Gooden. So let's go ahead and bring them in. Aaron Hoffman, JT Gooden, and Kevin Kwok.
Hey, Aaron and JT, thanks for being on our show. And you guys, we saved the best for last, right? This is the last episode of 2022. So we have high expectations for you.
Oh, yeah, right? He's going to start us off with the card trick.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Yep, I'm expecting the little dove to just fly up.
Yeah, you bet.
So anyway, let's get started. So before I start off with the questions, Aaron, JT, tell us a little about Sunflower Dental Labs. I see you guys everywhere, especially on Instagram. It's almost like every dentist that looked like a celebrity is working with you. So how does that work?
Well, you know, it's we've stayed. It's kind of consistency, and we've developed these core values. You know, through just being real and developing a communication, and it kind of creates a friendship. It just makes it easy to gel. I mean, it's just being real, you know, and you know, they appreciate that, and it just kind of. We just kind of take it slow, and it's kind of like, you know, kind of magnetic, you know, it's kind of, you just let it come to you.
Because I know, like, we work with dentists ourselves, right? And we notice a lot of times within the dental space, right? We have this, you know, the way it's supposed to be done, right? And I noticed with Sunflower Dental, you guys really break the mold of traditional dental labs, the way they are on the internet and the presence online. It's very different. So tell me a little about that before we get started.
Well, I think kind of like what JT's talking about, you know, when you say break the mold, often I think dental laboratories are made to look very sterile. You know, there was a handful of years ago, maybe even 3-4 years ago, you go to the website and, you know, I'd be the first to admit it, ours is somewhat on the generic side. We're dental technicians, you know, we hire out somebody to build our website. They find photos of people in lab coats and make it look like we have a bunch of people in lab coats, you know, fabricating these crowns and veneers and dental abutments and things like that. So what we try to do with social media is brighten things up, make them more palatable, try to make it as, you know, and I know, Kevin, you've probably seen some of our Instagram stories. That's where we put a lot of our focus just because of, you know, through a little bit of research, that's where you're going to get the most out of reaching new potential clients. And so when we put our brand out there, we try to keep things very, if you can, make teeth cool, you know, make these doctors, try to make yourself attractive to these dentists. And I think that, you know, that is something if we can make teeth somewhat attractive, I mean, our friends even say, man, will you guys make me teeth? You know, things like that. You guys need to give me the hookup, you know, those type of things. If we are doing that to the general public, I can only imagine what it does for a dentist who would want to choose to partner with us. And, but you know, the other thing that I've learned is when you do that and take that leap, you're putting yourself out there for some pretty heavy criticism. So you better have your act together. And that's where JT, myself, you know, we have two other partners, Troy Gooden and Bo Gooden. And all four of us have decided, you know, there's a big accountability that happens when you put your, you know, what you're fabricating out there. So
vulnerability, you know, that's there's a lot of it. Kind of when you put yourself out there and become a little more vulnerable, it also puts I feel like for me personally, it puts like pressure on yourself to be better, you know, because you are putting yourself out there, and that also allows, I feel like, people to develop a little more respect maybe for that, and also a similarity. You know, they can feel like, okay, it's easier for them to open up because we're opening up. You know, we're not trying to be fake, you know, but.
And like what he's saying, he mentioned earlier, it's a bit magnetic. And that's what we found is the dentists who choose to partner with us, we feel like the ones that really gel with us are just kind of like our employees. They say the same thing about it's just a great place to work, fun to work with, and the dentists often echo that same sentiment.
Well, it's funny because, you know, it seems like, you know, it's like just work, you know, we're making teeth with it. Like I think what maybe separates us a little bit is we make it more than just, you know, making teeth. You know what I mean? We kind of, it's really developing relationships, friendships, you know, and that just translates down to the business, you know, and that's worked for us so far.
That's great. So what I heard is authenticity and relationships. And I think at the end of the day, when it comes to business, I was just talking to my wife on my way to work today, and I was, you know, we were just driving together because it's holiday break. We have our kids with us, so we haul them to the company. They're entrepreneur babies, so they're used to, you know, seeing everyone at work and stuff. And we're just talking about like, man, people make it so complicated, like marketing, right? And like, oh, it's changed so much. And if you think about the core of marketing, nothing's changed, right? The guy that sold Kirby's back in the early 90s did the exact same thing. The ones that were successful at it built relationships, people where, oh, I trust this guy. I'm going to let him come into my house and show me the vacuum. You know, like door-to-door sales was the exact same as now. You just got to take that presence online. But then where everyone goes wrong is we try to put out this vibe that because of our industry that we're in, oh, we got to be professional, or, oh, we got to look this certain way. And it's not true. Nowadays, I think we're reverting back. People want the dentist that's human. Because I'm going to sit in front of a chair and they drill my teeth. I want to trust that person. I don't want some lab coat fabricated. Well, this dentist looks like every other dentist, right? And I tell dentists every day, the reason people choose you is because of you. And that's it. Everyone has an iTero machine. Everyone. You know, right. And I know that people that sell dental equipment always tell you, oh, you're the only one. I mean, we go into some of the dental office and it's become a joke at our company because every time we go visit different dentists, they'll go, we're the only one in the country that has this x-ray machine. And I was like, I just saw 5 others down over one park before I came to your office. You know, and I was like, what are these salespeople telling you? You know, you're not the only one.
True. People feel, you can feel that. You don't even have to, you don't have to see it. You can feel it. There's a, you know, it's just something natural, you know.
And I think too, what you were talking about relationships is, you know, we try to refer to a lot of our, we'll say, clients as friends, you know, because that's what it ends up being is, you know, they often text the four of us and say, you know, hey, check it out. I seeded so-and-so's veneers and they look awesome. And he or she was crying, you know, and it's the first time they've been able to smile since, you know, they're a child. And so to have those relationships is pretty huge, but yeah, it's like JT said, just about being real. And there was something else I was leading into on that. But
well, it's cool when you got like you know, you got that kind of connection when they're like, hey, when you come down to Ohio next time, hey, let's go grab a drink, you know, or let's go do this and that, or when you're in Chicago, hit us up, let's go hang out, you know. That's how you know you just keep doing what you're doing, you know, and there's no reason to stray from something that's working, you know. Like you said with the old school selling marketing factor, it's just I feel like too, as like you said, as time's gone on, I don't want to say like the older moving out. It's like a generation moving out and the next one coming in, and it feels like for me personally, I mean, this guy's a little older, but for me, I'm getting like, I'm almost like right at the same age with a lot of these dentists. So I can talk I talk to these dentists and they're like, you know, these, we're just literally like, hey, what's up? You know? And before I remember I would be so nervous when I first started talking to dentists. It felt like it was like, yes, sir. Hey, all right. You know, and things have just changed on even just on a conversation level. And that just makes it so much easier to reach the end result.
You also, you feel that shift too. I remember talking to, you know, dentists back in the days when we've been around we're going into our 8th year. And I remember when we first started connecting, you know, we do a lot of marketing, not just for dental, but other people too. But I remember the dental industry was very specific because the old dentists would correct us. It's doctor. And we learned that really fast, like it's doctor. But now the newer dentist is like, please don't call me by my last name. Just call me, you know, Bill or just Johnny. Please, you know, and it's changing. You just never dare to walk into the dental office and you have to put the doctor and the last name. And I would tell my staff, I go, when you walk in, don't forget, don't accidentally call them Bob or whatever. You know, they're going to get upset with you. And now it's the other way around. They're like, please don't call me by doctor. I just want to feel human. You know?
Yeah, definitely a shift from professional to relational, and you can get so much further through relationships than you can just trying to be professional. We have professional sales people that, don't get me wrong, we appreciate when we need them, but you know, we'll take a relationship with a sales associate that comes in here way before brochures and packets and information and trying, you know,
the car salesman stuff. You can feel it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what
very true.
Yep. No, that's awesome. So let's get started. So please tell us, both of you, outside of Sunflower Labs, what's your social media journey like? Aaron and then JT.
Okay.
So, you know, Instagram to me has always kind of been a little bit of a hobby type forum or community. So back when, say, 9 years ago-ish, I had a sports car and I thought, you know, hey, I'll do what these other guys are doing. They're posting pictures of their cars and hey, this is cool. And, you know, you start connecting with other people that have that type of car. And then I kind of switched I decided that car wasn't really me. And so I went to bikes and I thought, oh man, there's a big community of people that have bicycles. And then I really started learning, you know, what Instagram can really do, and you connect with groups, and they want to sell you jerseys and be a part of their community, and so you really start to get connected with a lot of people, even some of these big league racers. I enjoy gravel cycling, and next thing you know, some big 150,000 follower, guy will comment or like your post, and you're like, oh man, this guy's reaching out to little old Aaron Hoffman. That's kind of what it feels like. And then I started transitioning to just about a year before COVID, I got connected into a dental community on Facebook. And what I realized is they asked if we would contribute once a week. And and I'm going to actually say this is about 5 years ago. And so every week, this dentist asked me, hey, would you contribute once a week about the lab side of dentistry? So I had to commit once a week, just add some kind of tip. Well, some of these guys would be like, so what are you doing, man? We're leaving, and I'd be like, well, I committed to this. I need to do it. There were 200 dentists in that group when I joined 5 years ago. And I would tell, at that time, JT wasn't a partner yet. And so I told Troy, I said, man, I got to do this. I know it feels kind of monotonous, but man, there's 200 dentists in there. Fast forward to today, there are over 50,000 dentists and dental students in that community.
Wow.
And out of the blue will message me and say, hey, Aaron, I see your posts. I've been following you guys. I was a student 4 years ago, but I just graduated, and my boss dentist, or whatever you call him, has said that I can send my work to you guys, and I'd like to send you a case. So we're talking about an investment 5 years ago that still today is coming back to us, simply because people like JT, myself, Bo, and Troy are all willing to answer a text or a message through Facebook Messenger, take time out of our day for somebody that we don't even work for. We're just, we're just offering some advice or some insight, and they're like, all right, thanks so much. Maybe one of these days I'll send you a case. 2 years later, we got their case. So that's that relational side that I think we've watched over the past 5 years really manifest into true relationships, because they know we were investing in them and their practice long before we ever got a paycheck from them, And so, so what started off as cars and bikes turned into, man, what if I put that time into our business? And, so that's kind of how that's happened for me, at least.
I feel like the best thing he said right there was the investment. I feel like that's what social media has done, and you've got to be consistent, and that initiation of starting.
And that's the hardest part.
Yes, exactly. You said consistency. Yeah. Yes, very true. And starting. Yeah, and yes, that investment, and then it was. I remember when he started back some years ago, and it took you weren't getting anything. You may got like one thumbs up or something, whatever. And then it slowly, you just keep trucking away. And then what, it's like snowball effect, it's that, once it starts piling on, then more people notice, and, it kind of works like that. But it's kind of funny. Look, I just turned 33. My social media game was like this, He's way above me in that, and so I always kind of felt like, what? Yeah. So, and
I said,
I got
other.
What did I say?
Whoop! Sorry, you're freezing up.
What'd you say?
Oh, I says the other way around. So Aaron's the social media person.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of funny because I've kind of learned, I would say, like the hard way. I got like a Facebook account back in 2008, and I thought, oh, that's cool, doing this, posting this stuff. And then, then everyone started doing it, like parents started doing it. I was like, all right, maybe it's not as cool, and then got the Instagram going. And then once I seen, for me, it felt like you said, was starting, and then consistency of doing it and staying on top of it. For me at first, it felt like work. You know what I mean? It felt like, because you may not see those results like you want. It's kind of like working out. You're not going to see it after like 3 months. You're like, where's my abs? I've been putting in work, and it's just one of those things that just is an investment. And I've learned a lot when it comes to that with him, and it's just staying on top of it, and and that's how it works nowadays. Like when you work, you're not going around knocking on the doctor's doors and stuff like that. I mean, when you are getting accounts from overseas, that's strictly because of social media. I mean, it has so much potential. And there's a keeping up with the Joneses feel, but you don't want to get too caught up in that, of course. But it's like, you have to keep up. You have to, if you want what we want, if you want to keep putting yourself out there, get recognized, try to grow, but at you don't want to just grow like triple up. We want to grow slow. But yeah, you have to, that's where the game's at, and so that's where we're trying to go. And he's done great with that, and it's had great results.
Well, it's deeply overwhelming to encourage someone. If I could announce to every dentist, man, you have got to be on social media. You think that nobody wants to follow a dentist, but just trust me, we got people following our dental lab. We have doctors that have had patients come in and say, I would like veneers, and I would like them sent to Topeka, Kansas, to this. I want my teeth to look like this. And they show our Instagram account. We have had dentists say that. So we have followers, even though in our little following, it is not much, but it's very organic. It's the people who are following us choose to follow us. We didn't go out looking for them or whatever, which is very humbling. And so, I think that to tell anyone, hey, you need to be on social media, by the way, it's going to take 2 to 5 years for you to really see much. And your kids and your family are going to be the only ones that like your posts for the first year and a half.
Investment.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think so many people forget that, right? And that's why we started the show called Zero to Hero, right? In life, we all start as zero. And over time, because of our journey of life, we gain these skill sets, or we become someone that can leave a legacy, right? And
right.
It's funny because you guys mentioned the social media, right? But at the same time, people has a hard time relating their social media journey to anything else in life, right? It's like you don't go to a 401k portfolio and a year later expect you're going to get much out of it. But we're okay with that, right? People drop thousands of dollars into a 401k portfolio and they'll wait, right? And same thing, how many business owners go into business and think that, hey, in 5 months, I'm just kill it. I'll be a millionaire, It just doesn't happen like that. We all know this. You find your own big company, and it takes time, and before it ever pays off, your first paycheck, it might be years later, when you're actually making more than you did for when you worked for someone else. And people forget that, but it's the same market, right? Things an investment, right? It takes time. You got to give it that runway. And I said, biggest mistake I see working with people is they quit too soon. They get very close to where it can actually help them. Oh, I quit. It's, I've been doing it for a year. I quit.
Yeah. Well,
and it's
I think,
Go ahead.
On that, it also is like, it's easier, I think, to, I guess, keep going when you try to show interest in others. If you try to ask and learn about what they want, what service you can provide, rather than trying to get them interested in you, interested in your product. It's like making friends 101. You if you show interest in them and what they want, then you can kind of discuss what you can do for them besides just flaunting yourself. And I think doing that helps keep you going, because you can only brag on yourself and say, look at me, for so long. People don't want to hear that.
There's plenty of that out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important too. Like I always, when I meet with someone who's interested in social media for the first time, I always give them the analogy. It's almost like dating, right? Who wants to go on a first date and all you hear is the dude or the girl that just talks about herself or himself and how great they are? Yeah. You probably won't go back to that second date, but we're dumb enough, to think that, hey, for our business and social media, hey, we need to just brag about ourselves. And that's what majority, I say, 70% of small business owners or dentists or anyone, that's all. Hey, we have, a sale. We're the number one at this. But you're not bringing any true value or showcasing who you are as a person. Because all we talk about is, here's some veneer special. Here's another SEO special.
It's self-awareness. If you're not reflecting on what you're doing, it's easy to get caught up in that, and you're not seeing what you're doing until somebody points it out, and then you have to accept that because it's gonna hurt. And then once you see that in yourself, then that's when you can actually start to make a change. Feels like that's getting a little deep right there.
Well, and I think too, with as far as if there was someone that maybe watched this and said, well, I'm just not good with social media or whatever, I don't know where to start, but kind of like what you had said, that starting is the hardest part, because and like JT said, whether it be your physical appearance, I'm going to have to invest this much time, it's going to be this much work, I'm going to have to say no. I mean, literally, let's face it, any of us with children know this. You're going to have to say no to your kids sometimes because daddy's got to get on the, bike or, the weights or whatever, or daddy's not eating tonight. You kids go ahead. I'll fix you whatever you want. But that's that investment. But then starting out is also, people are scared to start out because of you have to put yourself out there, and people will judge. You can read comments after any like YouTube video, there's anything. So you have to, but you can also feel like if you're scared to get out there and do that, it's probably, sometimes that could be because maybe you feel that way because maybe you're at times a little judgmental. I know a lot of us are, so that's what makes it even scarier for certain people to jump out there, because you're worried about that because that's what you do, and you kind of just have to throw it out there and let it go. And all you can do is be, honest, and then you got nothing to really hide. And that's where I was going was, I know it sounds kind of generic or whatever, and somebody's probably already wrote a book on it, but if there was one thing, it would be, when it comes to social media and you have a business, you must be present to win. You have to be there. You can't just, like you said about the 401k, it's not going to happen unless you just start little by little, putting a little bit out there. And like what he's saying, overcome some of those fears of people that are, hating on you or whatever for this or that, and say, well, I'm a dentist and I would never do that. And I would never, they see something you do. But if you're kind of open to some, constructive criticism, or at least take it like that and apply it. I remember I did some veneers for a dentist in Texas and posted them, and I really liked them. And then this dentist influencer from Florida, he chimed in. He's like, why are the teeth so gritty and bumpy? I'm like,
he probably has like 100,000 followers. I'm like, stop.
Oh, he did. And I'm like, oh boy, this guy's calling me out in front of everybody, and he does. He's got a bunch of followers. I'm like, snap. And I'm thinking about sending him a message. I'm like, you turd, you don't talk to me that. And then I'm going, all right, why is the surface so bumpy? You know what? I'm looking around at other, influencer dental technicians on Instagram. Yeah, surface isn't bumpy like that. The dude's right. All right, so back to the drawing board. Hey, JT. Hey, Troy. Hey, Bo. What do you think about this? I smoothed it up. Man, that looks good. Lesson learned. You put yourself out there, and you're probably going to get called out, but you can either take that and just make this a total storm on yourself, because it's not going to end well if you blow up, especially in the comments section, and especially in the day where anybody can, screenshot a message and say, yeah, this is what Aaron said to me in a private message. That hasn't happened, but it could. It could, and as long as you're, self-aware, like what he's talking about, be self-aware, anything I say can and be held, against me in the court of Facebook or Instagram. So since then, I use that moment to make our finished product better, and so that to me, and we go back to social media in general, we may have mentioned, say, haters, which honestly, we've missed a lot of that, which I'm glad. I'm very thankful for. But there's something to be said about dopamine, which goes, dude, check it out. We're sharing with each other. He's bringing a case to me and saying, yeah, new doctor in Tennessee, whatever. They just seeded that case. He just sent me this, text, or she sent me this text.
Keep the bragging in house,
Yeah,
keep it.
Yeah.
Pat each other's back. Don't look for the outside pat back. We'll just be like, yeah, you got that.
Serious. I mean, and that lifts this whole place. I think there was a time where dentists, maybe in the old school, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, they didn't want to pump us up too much because I don't want you guys to think you got me in the bag, but keep up the good work, and they would literally say it that way. So that's not a secret. They would literally say, Aaron, I don't want, pump you guys up too much, make you relax. But truly it has the opposite effect. Anytime we get compliments, man, it makes us like, yeah,
well, a new expectation.
Yeah,
and it lets
absolutely.
you know, it lets you know you can do it.
Yeah,
and that just
higher.
raises the bar.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's great. That's awesome. So it's because it's refreshing to hear. You're two people that understand what we preach. Every day for years. It's challenging for people to understand, right? Because social media is hard to really see the result. There's on out the way, they're industry and all industry, these things they'll tell you, hey, if you sign up for this or that, automated leads from, social media, whatever. Dude, it doesn't work that way. There's no magic pill to what Aaron and JT just said. It takes time. It takes you. It's an investment. It's just like building a business, building marketing. It's the exact same thing. Nowadays, there's all these, lead gen forms, all these things that people try to sell you on. You're going to be disappointed after paying thousands of dollars because the funnels are just so generic, and the consumers today are just smarter. No one's going to sign up for a dental funnel, to get implants. It's not your marketing company doesn't know what they're doing. It's just the times have changed, and people don't want a stock image of some 40-year-old lady that looks perfect. Sign up for this funnel because it transformed my life, and it has palm trees in back when you're in Kansas City, for God's sake. You know?
Yeah.
You know, people are smart. So don't go buy those things because you'll be very disappointed and you'll be throwing money away. But with that said, let's talk about, we're going to shift away from marketing and talk about superheroes. So every superhero has a defining moment. What is yours when it comes to life and career? Aaron, JT, whoever wants to go first.
Life and career, defining moment, life and career. Okay. I would say for me, I mean, it's God, this sounds like a little corny or whatever, but it's being a dad. Honestly, when before, when I knew I was going to have my first boy, or the only boy I got, but when my first kid, you know, immediately I was like, oh, I need to be a better person. I need to set the best examples. If I, you know, I tell my wife, I'm like, how cool would it be if I can, well, my kid's making me want to be a better person. You know, my wife as well, that of course, but when you, and then that just moves forward into the career. I want my son, my daughter to see me be successful, see me become an owner, see me keep things going, see to show them what they can be capable of. You know, that's like you can use that all as fuel, as fire. And I think that's the biggest thing that's been the change in my thought process and the way I went about handling things different. That's huge. I feel like that's the biggest influence on me that they aren't even aware of yet.
That's good. What about you, Aaron?
Yeah, so, you know, when you ask a deep question, you get deep answers, right? So I would have to say, you know, as far as life, and I'll tie this into business, but, you know, my faith has had a big impact on, you know, our home and my wife's life, my life, our children's lives. And so, you know, if we go to a basic principle of the golden rule and treat others how you want to be treated, you know, that's, I think, one of the magnetic parts of our business is the fact that,
that's awesome.
You know, whether, and so I don't know how this sounds, but, you know, that's one of the challenges that we're talking about right now, because we're all talking about being real, right? But I can honestly say that the 4 owners of this business are not turds at home. They're good guys. They're good men that want to be good husbands, that want to be good fathers. And that's the part that you cannot teach in a book. That comes from inside. That is, whether it be faith or whether it be just simply wanting to be a good husband, good father, it's in our inner core. And that's the part that when we say, you know, be real and put yourself out there, guess what? You just beat half your competition, because half the competition can't be real because they're not that nice of people. They're not that nice of workers to work with. And they're not good to deal with at home. I mean, if we're going to be real, that's probably pretty accurate. I've told my kids, like what he's talking about, you know, you kind of set a bar for your children, and you know, I let my kids know, you know, if the dental thing ever fell through, because we just had a refrigerator repairman show up at our house, I'll bet kids, Dad could go out there and learn how to fix refrigerators and make a good living, because he can be nicer than half the people out there fixing refrigerators.
That's a good point. I give him a hard time too, because he does the porcelain. I do a lot of the design work, and I'm like, Aaron, if I really wanted to, I could do what you're doing. Like there's that. I just have this, and he has it too. This there's a no quit in it. That's what he's talking about, like that natural. It's not everyone has that, and we may get that from our parents, or just learning, and then just wanting to be better in general, and that just kind of funnels into a lot of stuff. And like you said, if for some reason the dental business wasn't just shut down, I can promise you we would find something else to be successful in. I mean, there's no that's not even, I'm not even worried about that. That's not even a question, but that makes it easier to move forward and want to better where we're currently at.
Well, and that only works it to the benefit of the people that we serve, because and I think that's something too, is when we because trust me, we make mistakes. Our business makes mistakes. Our business makes sometimes some big errors, some big mistakes.
Oh, there's frustration.
Oh yeah.
There's frustration.
That's talk about being real. And I've even there's been dentists that call from New York and they're like, Aaron, I'm interested in working with you guys and your guys' team, but I need to know this and that, and what I see on social media, that's what I'm going to get. I have to preface that relationship with, yes, that I promise to make every effort to make that happen, right? That's going to be our promise, but we are not perfect. And I need you to communicate. If you do get something, you're kind of like, this isn't quite what I was expecting. Just let us know. We want to fix it. We want the patient happy patient, happy doctor, happy lab. Communication,
core value communication.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times where there's been doctors that have left us because there may have been, this has been years ago, but there'd be like, say multiple issues reoccurring. And it's like, we weren't aware of it. And then if you were to just communicate with us, we would find a way to fix that. And I think with some of the things we've put in place now, that's allowed us to develop a lot stronger communication, which rolls down to more better consistency, and then we can give that product they want. And like you were saying, it's a lot easier being the honest way of saying, yes, we're going to try to give you that, and in turn, they'll want to try to give us, we got to be set up for success too. We can only go so far, and we're always going to do our best, of course, but if they do their best, it's easier for us to do our best too.
And generally those moments where we feel like we have to apologize and set something straight and correct a path we went a little crooked on, whatever, that's where we were kind of talking the magnetic side of it, to where we work with an unbelievable amount of very understanding and patient dentists.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Probably because I feel like we're very understanding and very patient. I mean, because they know that it's a two-way street. Like what he's talking about, we can only be as good in the first place as how good, say, when you go to the dentist and they stick an impression in your mouth and take that out and send it to us, or they scan, we receive those files and we print 3D models. That is the foundation of our work. And if it's questionable, then our work then is questionable. So everybody that we work with knows that that's a two-way street, and efforts can improve and have room for improvement on both sides, but we're not going to call them and chew them out. It's unbelievable how many doctors we've talked to, and they're like, man, you guys are just so nice to deal with. My last lab chewed me out about the same issue, but I'm glad you're communicating so I can give you something better. That blows my mind.
That's ballsy. It's like just calling out your boss, It's kind of that. Yeah. It's impressive.
I mean, don't bite the hand that feeds you, for sure.
I think it's so important. You brought up a huge point is setting proper expectations. So I think we live in a society that nowadays everyone's busy and everyone wants it now. Everyone's looking for that guarantee, right? But in life, there's no guarantees. You're not guaranteed even tomorrow when you walk out the parking lot, you can drive home and a semi hits you, right? But we expect these guarantees and everything, right? Hey, if I'm gonna buy this, can I return it? Can I be guaranteed that you're gonna produce this or that? There's no way. People, we're humans. We're gonna make mistakes. AIs make mistakes, and I have a software engineering degree. It makes mistakes still, So just remember, you have to have room for error. And we have to always remember that human element, right? The way we get better as humans is by making mistakes. So if you're a person that thinks you can't make mistakes, then really there's no room for improvement. You're not ever going to get better. So go ahead.
There's winning. There's not even. I don't even really try to use the word mistakes because it's winning and then it's learning. When you lose, you learn. It's the same thing as like when we don't give the doctor what they want. You're not really. It's all about. It's kind of like what we were saying about accepting the constructive criticism. It's you're not losing. You're not. Yeah, in a way, you may have made a mistake because maybe you misread something that should have been done. But it's you. Then, if you can take that and carry that on to the next time, you're like, crap. I'm not going to repeat that same mistake. Of that, that's the learning.
I think he just came up with a new motto. Sunflower Dental Studio, bunch of winners and learners. Bam.
Ooh, that's good. So we were talking about superheroes. So what are the attributes that defines a hero to you guys?
I mean, I'm just gonna say one that serves well.
Oh, what a thief!
Huh?
He stole mine.
All right. So what's yours?
What's yours?
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, he stole mine.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, by the way.
No. Yeah, it's.
But as you've seen, we're pretty on the same page when it comes to a lot of this stuff. That's why he's on here. We're both doing this is because, and what you were kind of talking about, the color of our beards, that's one thing maybe I bring is a few more years of experience. He brings some forward thinking, and Troy, our other partner, he's like myself, and a little bit older, but we all need each other to take this business and know its roots, know its foundation, what has made this business what it is. And then the forward part of it is, all right, now where are we going? What's the plan? And so I feel like so
we're the pipe dreamers. Bo and Troy are the realists. So there's a good balance. We got high like where we want to go, but you got to break it down into little chunks. Otherwise that gets overwhelming, and they kind of help bring us down, and then we all kind of then find what's the little steps you can take to get us to the our big dream.
And imagine that 4 partners, some there we go. Some people, a single business owner might say, oh, I can't imagine having a partner. Well, we have 3. We each have 3 that we're talking to and working with, and we have ideas.
But don't act like it doesn't get heated sometimes.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's automatic.
And that's what I'm saying is there's such a incredible amount of maybe that's where our being reasonable and trying to be understanding kind of comes from, is because it's kind of built into this the design of this business is, no matter what Aaron thinks of himself or JT thinks of himself or anybody else, it's kind of got to go through, it does have to go through the other owners. And so whether a good idea or a bad idea or where we think this ship needs to go, there's 4 captains, and so I think that really helps in the long run. That's what we've kind of noticed is between the pipe dreamers and the realists, it's ended up being a pretty sweet combination that is also fairly foundational, because originally this business started with 3 owners: my dad, his grandpa, Richard Gooden, and Ron Hoffman started in 1981, and then they had a third guy, but it didn't quite work out for him, and so this has never been a one-man show, and that's also, I think, one of the things that we've tried to do with social media is make sure that it's an entire team. The posts aren't just JT
That's
working,
good.
just Aaron working, or because we've all said it to each other and to ourselves. This place is not the Aaron Hoffman show. It's not the Troy Gooden show, or that it's all of us, because none of us are anything without this entire team. So
I love that. No, and it's so important to understand, it takes they always say it takes a team to build a village, right? It takes a group of people. You can't just do it on your own. And especially I'm a boutique marketing agency, and the scaling a business, it always takes a team, and people forget that. And there's a lot of owners that they try to take it on themselves. Especially, it's interesting because we're talking about the dental market. Dentistry has such a high turnover, and a lot of times it's because just look at the dentist industry. Look how many dental practices. It always mind boggles me when I look at how many dental offices are named after the dentist, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Wilson's office.
Yeah.
But what happens when you sell the business, when you retire? You're built around one person, and now I feel the up and coming dentists, they're getting smarter from a business side, because I always talk to these older dentists. Oh, I'm retiring now, Kevin. Here's my struggle. I built it around my name, 40, 50 years, and now I can't sell it for the same value because this young dentist doesn't feel like they can just take the brand and stuff. But dentists don't think about that because that's the model for so many years,
They're creating that. Well, when you do that,
and I see it. Mm-hmm.
It creates that separation. When you name it, a company, give it a little umbrella, it makes the other people, it makes you feel like a team. When we know, who's the boss. It doesn't have to be plastered on the wall. When you do name it as a whole, it brings everyone more. And then when you have more of a team, they want to work harder for you. That's just, they feel included. Everyone wants to feel included no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why in the dental industry there's such a high turnover, because it's always the hygienists, the technicians, it's always wrapped around this figure that's put on a pedestal because they're the dentists, right? So it's a broken model, right? If you're looking at any kind of organization, leadership, business, church, whatever, it's a broken model because you can't put this one guy on a pedestal. It has to be a teamwork. And I think the up and coming dentists, they're starting to see that. And now you see dental practices where they have the same team year after year, versus in the past, it's all built around this figure, and you work around me, as the, I identity versus leadership. How can we empower these young people? Let's bring in partners, partner dentists and help them become better. And then now you're seeing these dental practice becoming massive businesses because they're not just about persons empowering. And I love, there was one dentist that sat with me right before he retired. And he goes, you know what, Kevin and I made a lot of money, being a dentist. But at the same time, I felt a prison for myself.
Oh, wow.
And it was a wake-up call for me. And he goes, so many dentists don't think about that. When you wrap your dental business around your name, people expect you to be present. They expect your work. People come for my work. But then when I try to let go of qualification, I can't, so I'm always expected to be at the practice. I was like, that is so true. I didn't think of that, People want to come see a certain doctor because I built the whole legacy around just me, And I think it's an important part we have to think about. Go ahead.
You bring up a good point, when you're talking about the experience you have with dentists, I think that it goes to say something about you and your guys' team over there, with what you've done with several dentists over there in KC, which I've seen, which makes their feed just pop, makes my feed pop because of what you're doing with them. And that kind of insight right there, through social media. I mean, how did we meet? We met through Instagram.
Yep.
So
Instagram.
So social media immediately connects you to some of your industry's influencers. Some of these connections, we've never hired you guys to do anything for us. You just said, man, you guys sound really interesting. What you got going on over there? I'd like to have you on the show. Well, cool. We had this connection that if dentists were better connected on social media, they could meet individuals like yourself who, hey, this has been my experience working with dentists. Here's what they found out. I mean, what you just said is a pretty eye-opening insight to dentists who are trying to build a legacy that can live on past when they're there. Well, if you've got
because
Aaron
eventually
Hoffman,
you have to sell,
absolutely,
you're going to get older and you aren't going to be as precision inside the mouth. That's going to happen. It's just 100%. Everyone builds a practice. Eventually, it's just a matter of time, pass on to another partner. And if you don't figure it out at the beginning, it makes it, even if you sell a very successful dental practice, you get past that ball smoothly. They talk about it in the business world, but they don't talk about it in the medical fields, right? The doctors and the dentists. And people think about that.
Yeah.
So I want to end today by asking, so we've been going on the superhero chat. So if you had to pick a superhero that best relates to you, right, Aaron, JT, who would that be?
Superhero. You know what? I'm gonna go with Spider-Man. I'm gonna go with Spider-Man. Yeah. And because he's not like he's kind of behind the scene-ish. You know what I'm saying? He's not like the Superman right in your face. He's the kind of doesn't want to be seen. He's not trying to get all that glory because that's how I kind of feel. I'm not necessarily out there for the fame. Don't get me wrong. We're all trying to make money, but it's I don't. Kind of like Spider-Man. He gets it done, but he doesn't need to be told he gets it done. You see those results. You see those results with just knowing you're providing that service. You're doing what you can to, be a hero.
I love that.
Myself, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have to say, I just told one of my kids last night that Superman's my favorite, and it's just because I think the actor in the newest Superman's pretty cool. I don't even know his name, but I just like him. So I think right now Superman's my favorite, but it's probably because I like the actor more than the superhero.
Well, someone's got to be the face of it, you know. Right? There's got to be somebody.
But I know one of the things that I've personally struggled with, and somebody, said this to me a couple years ago, and but they said, well, Aaron, you're kind of the type of person. I mean, you live off of a pat on the back, and that could be taken maybe a couple ways, but honestly, it's also maybe my strength a little bit. Because where it could crush or ruin or make somebody, maybe some people maybe arrogant to hear, if we were to get into the, for all those women out there, you get in, if you're married or in a relationship, you've heard about, love languages, right? But words of affirmation, man, I'm all about words of affirmation. I love to hear, man, good job. Well, I like to hear that because, and JT knows this too, because he's the same way. I put a whole lot of freaking time into that. So I'm glad it went good because I was here until 7 and I was here in the morning at 5 in the morning or whatever. I mean, all of us have worked some pretty crazy hours. So yes, I am thrilled that went well. Because that was a very difficult case to work on. And, the thing about what we do is our work is in the front of someone's face. Our billboard is not on I-70. Our billboard is on your neighbor's
your
neighbor's
your
face.
name is on that.
And, and there's so many psychological or whatever type of studies have proven that, and I don't know if you've seen this, Kevin, but there's an Instagram post and it shows the person that has the shaved off eyebrow and the missing tooth. But the funny thing is it says, you know how important a missing tooth is when you didn't even see that this guy has no eyebrow. And it's like, oh snap, that's how important we have to make every single smile a masterpiece. Every time, all day, 4 days a week. Every patient, every RX has a person's face behind it, and so that is a huge challenge. So it drains us. We get frustrated. He comes in, he's like, dude, what do I do with this? I come to him, I'm like, dude, does this even look good? I mean, I'm really struggling.
So you have to care. You have to care. And that's the only reason why you're there this early, this late, is your name is on it.
Yeah.
And it's going to show. It's like the actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Your work is going to show
for sure
reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah. Helps us sleep at night doing a good
that's
job.
so true.
Yeah.
Yep. They always say your smile is the first thing people notice, right? So
Absolutely.
It's so important. And Aaron and JT, these guys do it every single day, right? So, man, that's crazy. And there was so much golden nuggets in the episode. And I need people to have to watch it later because especially Dennis, right? They're all drilling teeth right now. So, they're all busy. But thank you guys for hopping on our show. And I really appreciate you're the first ones that are non-marketing people that are so passionate about marketing, and I don't get that much on the show because social media is kind of, to the business owner, is kind of a foreign territory. And then to the marketers, they're always trying to tell when they hop on my show, right? They're trying to sell marketing. And so it's refreshing because it doesn't do you guys any good to talk about social media. It's not like Aaron and JT's go manage your social media accounts. They're just just from experience. So, and everything, like I feel like you can be a marketing director somewhere if the lab don't work out, and same with you, JT. You guys understand it better than some of the marketing people that I talk to that are in the C-suite. It's kind of sad, but it's true, because marketing is changing. And people forget that, it's changing so fast. So I came from the IT industry, which is very similar to the marketing industry today. I was a software engineer, and people don't understand the technology changes so fast. By the time I got out of college, it was like a year later, the code I learned was obsolete. So I went to school studying how to write VB6 code. By the time I graduated, it was object-oriented and Java and all that stuff. Well, I pay a lot of money for my degree, but I never learned that. So, and so people forget the same with marketing, right? All these people learn these textbook things, but guess what? It takes, in order to implement a new book into an education system, especially colleges, you're talking about a 5-year, 6-year cycle. Yep. By then, TikTok's obsolete. So right. No one's out there teaching you TikTok right now, So people forget that. So with marketing, you got all these graduates with these textbook knowledge of marketing because that's what they taught you. But they're still teaching you billboard and TV and radio, or they're now. Just now, I think they're teaching Facebook in the textbooks. But Facebook's kind of dead, It's not the hottest thing ever, right? It's more Instagram.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just remember that, like, yep.
Well, it's funny.
Go ahead, Aaron.
We kind of joke about, none of us have went to college, and it kind of fits what you're talking about because I heard it said one time, yeah, well, most are going to college. We were too busy learning. So that is kind of what happened with us is we have learned a lot. Unfortunately, it's been through the ups and the downs, but yeah, very true.
So what's the best way, Aaron, JT, for our audience to follow you guys?
Oh, you can take this one, yeah.
Yeah, so you can go to our Facebook, Sunflower Dental Studio, and search us there. Give us a like or a follow. We would very much appreciate that and reciprocate that if you have a business yourself. Also, we're on Instagram. That is where we kind of post most of our stuff, and then it, switches it over to Facebook for us. But Instagram is also Sunflower Dental Studio. I'm actually right now in the process of kind of rebranding my personal account, what I've seen other people do. Again, we're not blazing any new trails. We're just watching other people, seeing what seems to be effective. We haven't taken any courses, but what I've seen some do is they have their business account and then they have their personal account. Their personal account also pushes their business account. So I am Aaron Lab Guy Hoffman. That's my personal Instagram account. And then that's where I'm beginning to transition, kind of pushing our business through my personal account. So,
yep.
Good stuff. So follow these guys. I really feel they're, I talk to, in the dental industry, I feel these guys are kind of ahead of the game. They're very progressive. So with them. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.